Mr. Phil Lacy, a former Bushfire CRC PhD student from the University of New South Wales, presented his guide to advice regarding burning under young eucalypt plantations.
I was telling them about fire in young eucalypt plantations and how to use fire as a tool to reduce the fuel load. I created a field guide for conducting burning in young eucalypt plantations, and the guide covers assessing fuels prior to burning, how fire behaves in plantations, and the possible or subsequent damage that could occur. What I found from my study was that low to moderate intensity burns do not cause damage of trees of sufficient size in plantations, so it's quite an effective tool. So I looked at the fuels. The plantations were in subtropical areas in northern New South Wales. I was looking at the typical types of fuels that were in the plantations. I was looking at trees, the size of the trees and the characteristics of the trees, and I was also looking at the behaviour of fire through experimental burns within those plantations. So industry, especially in subtropical areas, they can use the field guide. The field guide shows you how to assess fuels. It tells you what the parameters are in terms of weather conditions that are suitable for burning, and then it also gives some guidelines on how to assess the damage to trees afterwards to see whether it's a moderate damage short term or longer term damage. Yeah, my research would be applicable in other areas of Australia, especially the damage assessment side of it. But I also think that the plantations in the temperate areas can handle fire just as well as the subtropical areas. I think there's some slight differences in fuel type, and those things would need to be researched before you could completely use what I found. So the next step for this research would be to have a look at the fuel types in temperate areas and the blue gum plantations, and do some experimental burns in those plantations, compare those with the results that I found for the subtropical areas, and broaden the field guide to essentially cover all eucalypt plantations.